From being the current welterweight UFC champion to having a near-perfect UFC record, Leon Edwards has everyone scared. That's right, his fellow fighters are terrified too. And why is that? A 9-fight win streak is no joke, especially in the welterweight division. Everyone fears Leon Edwards right now, and for all the right reasons too. Take his striking ability, for example. In 2022, when Leon absolutely crushed Kamaru Usman in the ring, it was simply unforgettable. I mean, that head kick knockout was incredible.
Wow. That is what we were saying coming into this fight. That Leon
Usman's attempt to defend his welterweight title for the 6th time in a row came to an end in the 5th round of his rematch with Edwards. Rocky won by knockout thanks to a left high kick. Striking is definitely his strong suit.
Look how he shows him the left to high. Well, he's done this before. Oh my goodness. This is a great combination from Edwards. Oh my goodness.
That, plus Usman definitely didn't anticipate how things were going to go down, which led to Edwards winning. Henry Clemenson, Rocky's striking coach, is used to strategizing before the fight. After Leon won, he talked about how the pair prepared for the exact moment when the fighter could land a head kick like that. You see, this is what makes Leon Edwards so scary. He has an excellent team with him that predicts every possible movement. Clemenson predicted that Kamaru Usman was going to move away from the punch to that side, and Edwards saw the opportunity in the middle of the fight and grabbed it. Together, Clemenson and Leon managed to figure out a pattern that Kamaru was sticking to, and bam! They figured out a way for Rocky to defeat the #1 pound-for-pound champion in the world. I mean, if that's not impressive, then I don't know what is.
From Leon Edwards.
But that is not the cloth from which he is cut. I mean, that is a degenerate.
Here's what makes Leon Edwards a huge threat though. It's not easy to just strike someone like that in the octagon. There's a lot of thought going into the whole process. Plus, in Henry Clemenson's words, there needs to be some sort of an element of surprise. And from the fight with Kamaru, it was clear that Leon Edwards had mastered it.
Gotta give respect. Taken down again.
This, coupled with the right strategy and timing, is what makes him the beast that he is. Boxing is the kind of sport where you have to think of so many things all at once, and Leon Edwards makes it look so damn easy. His coach himself said that he's so good, the pieces fall into place at the right time for him. Another thing about Leon Edwards that stuck out from his match is that he took down Kamaru with such finesse, the kind that the UFC world might never see again. This is what makes Rocky so special though. He always has something new brewing, and every strategy he pulls in his fights makes them special. A once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yes, Leon Rocky Edwards!
After all, it's not every day that you see Kamaru Usman getting knocked out. This isn't the only reason that fighters choose one style of fighting. Rocky is a switch stance fighter. Of course, you can argue that for most of his career, he was fighting with a southpaw stance. Then, in 2021, he switched things up and has been using the orthodox stance pretty frequently too. This is something fighters rarely do. But what's incredible about Edwards doing this is that he's equally good no matter how he fights. This keeps his opponent on their toes though. They never know which Rocky they're going to get when they step into the octagon. And that's what makes him such a huge threat. As you can probably tell by now,
Nice work there from Edwards. Takes the back.
Leon takes his back. That's tremendous.
Leon Edwards is an extremely well-rounded fighter. Not only does he have an incredible striking ability in different fighting stances, but he also has a very strong ground game. Oh, and he knows it. Rocky made a bold claim to Ariel Helwani right after his title win. He said that he has a better ground game than his rival Kamaru Usman. This strong statement came after Helwani questioned Edwards about his thoughts, following his takedown of the Nigerian Nightmare and rear naked choke in the first round. With the Kamaru fight, Leon knew that it wouldn't have been easy to choke his opponent, but he also knew that once he got on top, everything would be a piece of cake, especially because Usman is a wrestler and likes being on top.
The way that he wanted to, but he got there.
He knows what his opponents are up to and uses it to his advantage. This isn't something a lot of fighters can do. Another thing about Leon Edwards is that he's absolutely ruthless when he steps into the octagon. That's something you already know though.
Prove that he belongs in these big spots against the sport's best. Oh, no.
Rocky does not spare anyone. In fact, he forces his opponents to fight at his pace, gaining control from the very first round. It's a fact that fighters need to throw strikes in order to land them. Most fighters, though, have to land strikes in order to be successful. Leon Edwards knows this very well and, once again, uses it to his advantage.
Gets back to his feet.
He completely renders his opponents unable to land a significant amount of strikes. Every time they try, he strikes back. It's really impressive how he can do this, especially because most of the striking that Rocky does is from a distance. Plus, this whole strategy allows him to force the pace he's on to his opponents.
Of Edwards there, and that was surprising. That was interesting for Leon to do that, to mix things up and say, hey, guess what?
It makes a lot of sense why fighters are scared of him now. Leon Edwards wasn't always like this though. Nobody thought that he would ever defeat someone like Kamaru Usman when he first started out. Time and time again, Rocky has gone up against some of the top fighters in the welterweight division and won.
Unable to do so, he's been in Las Vegas. Oh, head kick from Edwards on wobbly legs.
Bilal Muhammad, Nate Diaz, Donald Cerrone, Rafael dos Anjos, and Gunnar Nelson are only a few names who Leon Edwards has defeated. Having the Kamaru Usman on the list definitely helps his case even more though.
Not what it used to be.
Good jab there from Usman.
Speaking of Kamaru, let's look at Leon Edwards' last fight against him. I already talked about the head kick knockout and how Rocky left everyone's jaws hanging, but the fight wasn't going that way from the beginning. Usman had 10 minutes and 36 seconds of control time in the bank when the head kick landed, including 3 minutes and 23 seconds from 2 takedowns in the third round alone. Because of this, nearly half of the fight was literally under Usman's control. Usman had 83 hits to Edwards' 55. Just when it looked like Edwards had his back against the fence and it looked like he was going to succumb to the pressure, the fight did a complete 180 and Leon Edwards became the champion. And trust me when I say this that no one saw this coming. Even though things have been looking up ever since this fight, Rocky can still do some things differently in the next fight. For one, Leon Edwards needs to use his elbows in the clinch. One of the most intriguing aspects of their first rematch was the absence of Leon Edwards' patented elbows in the clinch. When his opponents try to encircle him in the clinch, Rocky responds by framing his forearm against their jaw and shoving their head away to make room for himself. This is how he increases his chances of landing these elbows by stepping across them, forcing them to turn towards him, and into the path of a counter elbow. Kamaru Usman frequently looks for takedowns in the clinch, but Rocky did not use any elbows the last time they met. It looks like things might have to change in the rematch. Another thing he needs to work on is not exposing his back during the anti-wrestling sequences. One of Leon Edwards' worst habits is exposing his back to counter takedowns. This kept happening at UFC 278. Every time Kamaru Usman attempted a takedown, Rocky turned on his stomach and pushed against the mat with his hands and feet to stand up. Instead of exposing his back, he should use counter elbows to clinch and then immediately disengage from grappling. Personally, I think Edwards is going to successfully defend his title against Usman if he gets this and a few other things right. That's all I have for all the reasons fighters are scared of Leon Edwards right now.